Hey, it's Karel, and welcome to yet another edition of Karel Life in Segments. Thank you for joining me in our whirlwind cavalcade that we present to you each and every week, myself with the help of Brendan Riley Miller and Brendan Riley Miller Productions. What makes a song? A lot of you don't even really think about it when you hear a song on the radio as to what went into it. Who wrote it? What were they thinking? How did the music come to be? How did the singer end up being on that record? Well, today in Song Scribes, we're going to examine that because I've been wanting to do a song called Revolution. It's a remake of a Tracy Chapman song that I think is so relevant to the Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and yes, Voldemort, I don't say his name, Voldemort era of politics. Now more than ever, we need a revolution where poor people gonna rise up and take what's theirs. Poor people gonna rise up and take their share. So let's go into what really happens when you record a song, particularly when you ain't got no money. Is it easy to do? Is it hard to do? No, it's not that hard when you call your friends Morgan Mallory and Thea Austin, two wonderful veterans of the music industry. Right, Miss Ember? Miss Thea, you love Miss Thea, and she was smart, she'd love Mr. Morgan. Let's see why right now. You know, we're in the middle of season 3, filming season 3. It's July of 2016. 84 dead French people at the hands of some moron driving a truck.
So sad.
The week or two before that, Orlando and Donald Trump continuing to no longer be amusing, but be frightening and xenophobic and hateful. And so I have found it hard with my television and radio shows to sort of stay focused on that Karel, on who that Karel is, the guy that's supposed to cover all that. It's just got to be too much. And as you know, as one of my oldest friends, one of the things I love to do is music, and it's sort of where we all started. And I think when you're an artist and the times around you are going crazy, you often retreat into yourself, into your art. And so I wanted to focus a lot of the show on the making of art. It's still important to America. Really, it really is. On singing and on social relevance of art and media again, of the plight of the artist, and more importantly, looking at all of these things in a different way, and music can help you do that, and it can help you feel a little bit differently, as most of us, know. So I thought, well, how do we do this as a segment? And I thought, you don't. You do what your show was supposed to be from the get-go, which is you're an entertainer with interesting friends and interesting life. Just film it. That's what it was supposed. It was what it was supposed. You yelled at me because the pilot wasn't that way. And you said, Boulay, that's not what we do when we hang out. So I thought we'd go back to there. So I just thought, well, why not get a group of people together and actually start doing something about a few things that I want to do, which is start doing music again. And I started crying earlier because I realized in my professional career as a singer, professionally, on stage, from the moment I took stage at Robbie's Disco in Pomona, I have the ticket in the TV room. It was on October 30th of 1992, Karel and A Don A. And I did Everybody Get On Up. And I opened Queen of the Night from The Bodyguard. Remember when I had that black cape made?
Yes.
And the dancers, remember the two backup dancers? One who wasn't gay at the time and now is a big old homo. Remember the two dancers, and they danced with us in the Live to Tell video, and then you used them for some things? Anyway, so I thought, let's get back to music. Now, we all are original songwriters. I'm going to introduce everybody in a second, but there's a song that's been nagging at me, saying, reinvent me, please. It's time. I was really ahead of my time when I was out the first time. Things are that way again. Why don't you do something with me? And so we're going to do that. But first, let's start with who everybody is, in case y'all don't know. That's The Voice. We laughed about this earlier. He was on The Voice, so like everything of course, once you're one thing, everything in your PR becomes that. So now it says, The Voice, Morgan Mallory. And I said, Morgan, you are The Voice. You are The Voice. So it's, of course, Morgan, who was on or went through the process of The Voice and is now out there as a working musician. His latest album is called Manifesto, which he co-wrote and co-produced with some fabulous musicians all locally in Southern California. Just got released, getting rave reviews. Europe loves it. America's starting to. The video for the first single is really, goes back to what I wanted today to be about. The video is about connection and what love is, and all of that. And so that, that plays right into today.
Oddly enough, it was most popular in Russia.
Was it really?
Thus far, yeah.
Russia with love, baby. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful, though.
20,000 views and 70% of it came from
Russia.
Russia.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
You don't even look Russian.
I don't.
Yeah.
So you don't have to look Russian for us to love what you do.
You performed in Russia,
Yes.
in Moscow.
Rostov.
Oh, girl, they said they took her through the streets like she was some political prisoner, like zooming through traffic, stay down sort of thing. You are a black girl in Russia, honey. We got to get you to the club.
Yeah, they did it with fierce protection.
It was fierce, yes. DJ Forplay, my roommate Stephen Cabral, who I first heard on Groove Radio as the partner of Lucky Pierre, LA radio legend, who specialized in disco. And you were Lucky Pierre's the mixer. So he would talk about Lucky Pierre would talk about the music, and you would play it and mix it for him. And you went on to talk radio, worked with me at KFI, and now of course you're a DJ. Thea Austin, who came to prominence with Snap, Rhythm as a Dancer. If you can, that's her tour poster up there from 1992. I took the pictures. Thea of the Gleaming Breast, it's called.
Oh. Have mercy.
It was almost at the end of the session. Remember, you were getting off the table because I'd had you on the table.
Yeah, that's right. I was sliding down off the table.
Sliding down off the table. And
you're like, whoa, stop.
Hold that, girl.
Stop, the light is
I clicked it.
in
Back
the right
in the day,
place.
we had to make a print that size to proof it, and the proof was like $750, and oh my God, that was the day. But that became the tour poster. I was really honored when I found that out. That it was for sale all over the world, including in Bucharest, Romania, where Snap and Thea opened for Michael Jackson for his HBO special.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And as she was just told by
dangerous.
Justin Timberlake backstage when she was doing his benefit, her song Rhythm as a Dancer is one that even he grew up dancing and singing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I hear Rhythm as a Dancer everywhere I go.
All the way.
Yeah.
In the supermarket, it's playing in there. At a furniture store, it's playing there. At Target, it's playing.
And now what's his name? Well, T.I. there. If he gets up for a Grammy this year, you'd be up,
Jeremiah,
right?
I think.
Jeremiah.
Yeah.
If Jeremiah's up
Don't
for a
tell
Grammy
him.
for Don't Tell Him, then you would be nominated, right?
I don't
As
know
a
how it
writer,
works
yeah,
as a
absolutely.
writer.
As a writer of the song, absolutely. So that'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I, of course, for those of you that don't know, I've been a singer forever and had an album out in the 90s and many singles and continued to sing.
Baby,
That's right. Oh, baby, we were. And recorded with a lot of wonderful people and toured with a lot of wonderful people. It was good fun. So which is why we're here today. But before we get to Revolution and that and what I want to do it and Rise Up and why I want to do it, since we all are musicians and everything, I do a lot of fun stuff on my radio show that I want to do with you guys here and with you guys at home too, because we can talk the business of music, and it's a $9 billion a year industry, and we can talk about downloads versus sales. We can talk about the business of it till we're blue in the face. But if you go see the musical Beautiful, you'll be reminded that music really is the soundtrack to our lives. I mean, first and foremost, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it becomes our business because we just have to make it. But to the world, it's the soundtrack to their lives. And so I had a challenge. I think I told you this, and I know I told you this, so you have a head start. So I had a challenge, and it was one to sort of make people rediscover what they love about music. Because as we talk elections and politics and all this other stuff, I think sometimes we forget to sing. And as we talk about this, I did a thing called 2 by 2 by 1. And it's one playlist, and I want y'all to do this at home. 2 albums, and they can't be a greatest hits album. 2 albums by 2 artists on one playlist. Now, before you each answer the question, I'll tell you there was a phenomenon that happened, and you're going to see it as we go through. It's an interesting phenomenon we'll talk about. But Morgan, you can make a playlist. It's got 2 albums by 2 favorite artists. Who are the 2 artists and who are the 2 albums?
For any occasion?
This is
all.
it's 2 by 2 by 1. This is for you. You are taking 2 of the artists that you love, like the most, or on the top 10, and you're putting 2 of their best albums on a playlist.
Okay.
What is it?
It would be the first album by the 1975. It's self-titled. They're a newer band, really young guys, really awesome. And
They're called the 1975.
the 1975, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Their first record's just absolutely insane.
Okay.
Way too good for kids that young. And oddly enough, it's something I'd already done, and I knew that it worked, so I'll just use this. That and Michael Jackson, Dangerous. Those two records together make an incredible playlist.
So the two artists for your 2x2x1 are the 1975 and Michael Jackson.
Yes.
The first Jackson album was Dangerous. The second is
By Michael Jackson.
because you have two albums by two artists.
Off the Wall.
Off the Wall, and the other 1975 album is.
They only have two.
Oh, well then they're there. So there's your playlist. Steve, 2x2x1.
2x2, my 2x2x1 would be Madonna's Like a Virgin album, because I think it's an amazing album. And at the time, I think I was in 7th grade, high school when it came out.
I know I was a fan going, so speak up, children.
So I was rocking that in my cassette Walkman in school. And the second one would be my favorite would be Amy Winehouse's Back to Black album. I still think it's.
You don't get a second album from her on the playlist,
No,
though.
you
You'll
don't.
have to put Andre Day.
That could be Andre Day.
2x2x1.
Sade, Soldier of Love. Love Deluxe.
Was it
Sade.
because she was over 50 when she did it?
No, it was because the music is just so good.
I love that she was
And,
over 50 and just gave it to him.
Well, I could relate to that too, but it was really because the music is just so good, and I just love her vibe, her tones, her
And who's
textures.
the second album?
I would almost have to go with Dangerous too.
So Michael Jackson would be the
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
See,
people's favorite.
everybody when asked this question, they always got the first artist right away. And then their second artist was, and they always got the first album right away. And then their second album was, they was like, it took more thought. I immediately knew it would have to be like Barbra Streisand and, then it was like, oh my God, is it going to be Patti LaBelle or is it going to be
Exactly. That's what I was doing.
Right, and then with the
Trying to
first
do it
album, I was like,
yeah.
because for Barbara, I considered her Guilty and Guilty Pleasures album a double album set. Even though they're 35 years apart, it's her and Barry Gibb, and it's the same, so it's a double album set. So I gave her that as one album. And then the other album that I gave her was an earlier album. And I chose Madonna, and I chose Confessions of a Dance Floor, the non-stop mix, because it's a 60-minute and it has so many hit records on it. And then her new one, Rebel Heart, is by far her best album ever. And so, we talk about music and what it represents to us. It can be socially relevant. And, I was listening to two songs, Tracy Chapman's Revolution. And, they've remade Fast Car, because you listen to Pride Radio.
Yes.
And they, you got a fast car.
Yes.
Do you know that Andrew used to think that, and we thought about this, he used to think that she said, and your arms and legs wrapped round my shoulders. He used to think, we argued about it. He was like, and your arms and legs wrapped around my shoulder. And I stopped him, I said, Andrew, that doesn't make a stitch of sense. And he said, no, that's what she says. And finally, one day when the internet came around, I showed him, no, this is not what he was convinced that that's what that said. And I said, no, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. But we all have misunderstood lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many misunderstood, have you ever found out that you've been dead wrong about a lyric?
Yes, I have.
Which one?
Oh gosh, I can't think of it really right
That's
now.
a tough question.
You blocked it from your mind, haven't you?
I remember that.
I think out of guilt and shame, you block it out.
Right, because you can't believe that.
No, that's not what I always knew what it was all the
No,
time.
no, no. I used to-
Especially as a singer-songwriter.
Now I know. Berlin's The Metro. There's a line in there that says, I am alone, sitting with my broken glass, or
I'm alone, sitting with my
pile
broken...
of cheese.
What? Going through a pile of cheese?
Yes, a pile of cheese.
That's not what they say.
For the longest time, I thought she's talking about cheese, but that doesn't make sense.
What is the actual line? I don't know the song.
I'm alone, sitting with my broken glass. My four walls follow me through my past. I was on a Paris train. I emerged in London rain, and you were waiting there, sitting through apologies. You were swimming through apologies. That's why she says, sorry.
Cheese.
Wait,
Hey,
Did you think that she was sorry for the
12,
cheese?
Okay, I was 12, 13 years old.
sorry for the fondue. Sorry about the pot of cheese.
Yeah, sorry for the fondue I brought to the train station.
And then,
Do you want to get down on this?
Yeah. Did you ever have a lyric that you just totally...
I mess up lyrics all the time.
But you're like, Andrew swore that it was your art.
Yeah.
I had Tracy Chapman come on our show on KFI and tell Andrew. And he said, no, that's to Tracy Chapman. I have the video. I have the audio of this. He said, no, that's not what she said on the record. Well, you've got it from the horse's mouth.
Okay.
So there's another song, though, on that album called Talking About Revolution. And, you know, this album was back in the 80s under Reagan. And I did a show last week about how everything old is new again. You know, the National Guard and Kent State, white cops, black kids, you know, it's all sort of the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We've been here before. Racial tensions at an all-time high. I was telling Steve, I said, you know, one of the reasons that Thea takes some of this as hard as like you knew how hard I would take Orlando. You called me first thing. And I said to Steve, I said, some of the reasons that Thea takes this so hard is, you know, she's had to hide under a desk and been told by a teacher to get away from the windows because the KKK was marching through, you know, where her school was. And it wasn't a drill. It wasn't like, it was real. There was a real danger. And you were a kid. You were, you know, and here you are, a small child, you know, having to deal with that, you know, and how do you, I mean, how do you grow out of that? How do you get over that? How do you, you know, and it's funny because we've been talking about music for you, and I've said, you know, I want you to make an album where you sing your life, because I know I've known you now for a while, and there's been so much that you've gone through that is here again today, you know. And as a black woman, like as a gay person, they seem to think everything's okay because we can get married. But the Republicans are now trying to outlaw us in their platform. They say reparative therapy is okay. It's ridiculous, and people think that blacks don't have it that hard. But Thea, I've been with you countless times and witnessed discrimination, just right, blatantly discrimination. And I, you know, I don't think people even realize that it really does. It happens every single day.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it
How many
does
times have
happen
we gone
every
into a
day.
restaurant, someone looked right around you and talked to me? Looked right over your head and said, how many in your party? You know,
Yeah.
Or you've thrown down like a you know, platinum card or whatever, they come back to the table and give it to me or give it to Andrew. You know, I mean, it's like, because heaven forbid, you know, that a black woman should have a platinum card. You know, I mean, this happens, and that's not 50 years ago. That's now.
No, it's very, very much so, yeah. I mean, I was working out in the gym, and this German guy came up to me and told me to get off of the equipment. And it was where I lived at Park La Brea, and I had been paying rent there for like 7, 8 years. And he said, get off, your time is up. And I said, I have a 5-minute warm down, you know, session. Let me finish up. You know, she's off in 1 minute, and the other lady said, the lady said, I'm getting off now. And they both got off their equipment, and he still stood there and told me to get off and called me a fat bee pig, and that I wasn't worth the dirt on the bottom of his shoes. Yeah, just because I wouldn't get off of the one that he wanted. And I said, leave me alone, I'm working out. And he said, what are you doing in here anyway? You can't afford to pay rent here. And I was like, wow. I was like, dude, I've been paying rent here for over 7 years, but that wouldn't be the point. Like, these 2 machines are open, just pick one, you know. And he just went on and on and on.
Right, and this is now. There was a guy over here at the park in Broadway in Impro who told me to shut my faggoty ass up and keep moving, and I told you about that. It was just 2 weeks ago. You know,
it happens.
So I was thinking about this Tracy Chapman album.
It happens.
You know, and there's a song on there, you know, last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, you won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all. And I thought that could be today, you know? I mean, that could just be today. And so talking about a revolution, to me, you know, the lyrics, while we're standing in the welfare lines, beating down the doorways of the armies of salvation, poor people got to rise up, get their share. Poor people need to rise up, take what's theirs. When I was thinking of this, I thought, my God, nothing has changed. So Thea did this song that she might have even forgotten about called Rise Up. And I didn't forget about it because I have all of her music. And there's this hook in here.
It's like over 20 years ago.
Over 20 years ago. Yet everything in this song is still socially relevant. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And some of it's even gotten worse since you recorded this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's kind of sad, because there's pretty heavy lyrics in here. Talk about global warming. You know? You talk about racism at an all-time high.
Yes.
You know, and now it's the worst that it's ever been.
Well, I don't think it's the worst it's ever been, but it's bubbling. It's a bubbling cauldron. It's bubbling. Yeah.
And so the hook is, rise up, my brothers and my sisters, rise up and face all conditions. Rise up. And I just think if we're going to do a song called Revolution, that somewhere in it we need to work in even just the hook, the rise up. My brothers, and it's coming up. My brothers and my sisters.
And that's where the master Morgan comes in.
I'm listening.
Oh, hey. Famine and warfare across the land.
Still dealing with devastation. Yeah.
We did an episode on the homeless. Hole in the ozone. Are gone. Are unemployed. 20 years ago. Racism.
This was the 90s.
Yeah.
Supposedly the prosperous time during the...
Right, and I mean, you would have thought that we would at least work on some of these issues and get them right. Flesh and bone, if cut. Our blood is red. Yeah, you tripped that instead, you said.
But couldn't these issues also apply to the 80s and the 70s?
Indeed.
The 60s?
The 60s, certainly.
50s for sure.
No, 50s, they just didn't talk about it.
Well, it's still a
history
relatively...
is repeating itself.
Well, it's actually still such a short period of time in itself.
I think that
It hasn't
these
even been
issues
100
have never
years.
really gone away.
Right, they've never...
You're right. I agree.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we made some progress, and then people got lost and fearful and greedy again, and then it just got all
But you know what, too?
confused.
The media plays a big part in it, too. The way they report stuff, you know, it can have so much meaning when things are implied. And I mean, that's that, and then, so people, not very smart people who are consume this on TV, they can take this a complete wrong way.
Indeed. Point well made, yes.
Oh, that could totally work.
I love it.
Imagine a gospel choir doing that, like, percussively.
Rise up.
A little slap thing.
Rise up.
I mean, can't you hear it?
Rise up.
Just like, just modulate it a little bit.
Rise up.
That back and forth thing, you can do that all day long.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Big
Yeah, it's
swaying
like where she
choir.
says, don't you know? Do you know Revolution? Do you know the
face of condition?
talking about a revolution? It sounds. And then somewhere in there, rise up.
My brothers and sisters, rise up. My
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, rise up. Face our condition, rise up.
Don't you know?
Talking about a revolution. Yeah.
See,
You know,
I knew.
talking about a revolution.
Rise up.
Yeah.
While we're standing in the welfare lines, beating down the doorways of the armies of salvation, wasting time in the unorganized, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know?
Talking about a revolution.
Rise up. Don't you know? Talking about a revolution. See, it could work.
Yeah.
It could work.
Rise up.
It could work. Don't you think it could work?
Yeah.
Or we can change the chord progression slightly, make it a little
Yeah.
more bouncy.
Well, let's do that.
Try it on top.
Well, yeah. This is where YouTube comes in.
I like this.
Sing it over top of it.
Armies of salvation, wasting time. Is that where we're at?
sort of thing would be great. That would work.
Now, see, because I thought about starting it, because you know how on the chorus of Tracy Chapman, she has that, run, 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 run. I hear that very big.
Run, 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 run.
It would have to be perfect timing.
Yeah.
You know, tell me when you better run, 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 run. Or do I want to start with Raisa? Because those are going to have to be gospel-y too, right?
Well, that's the beautiful part of like a gospel house song is you can record all these things in time and have these little puzzle pieces that when you're doing a reinvention of something like this, you can have all those puzzle pieces to place in at different times, and they don't all have to be tracked like in one big piece. And so we could even puzzle piece it to the point where it builds where it needs to and comes down and have things interweaving.
Okay, how do we do that?
It would just
Editing.
Now it's gone down to like a second or third grade. It's gone down to some horribly low level of, you know, reading and I don't want to say retention, but simply how smart the song is. We don't have very many smart pop songs anymore. You're a DJ, you're in music. Would you not agree? I mean, there are if you look for them. I'm not saying they're not out there. But what most of the world listens to as pop music, you have to agree with the survey. You know?
For me, I'm not sure I've even ever heard it.
Quack, 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 quack. I mean,
Well, yeah,
That's just a fun song, though. I mean, it's just...
that song is responsible for the destruction of our pop music industry.
Stop your madness.
Oh my God! Quack, 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 quack,
Stop
quack.
your madness.
Then you see me
No, it's
quack, quack.
not.
Then you see me quack, quack. Oh my God! What is she saying? She's not enunciating a thing.
She means it that way.
Oh my God.
It's a ethnic, cultural
it's
thing.
not.
Yes,
It's
it is.
just-
Yes, it is. Stop. Yes, it is.
Quack, quack, quack.
If something gets at you, don't let it catch what you really do possess inside. Don't let it sweat you, the will to do better. It's all you really need to have. That's why life builds you up and then lets you fall down. It's a part of the game that we play. So take what you can, just remain positive for your adventures.
Portions of the Karel cast and Karels High Tea are brought to you by Lennox, an American classic, American-made since 1889. Fine makers of tea sets, china, ornaments, dinnerware. LENOX.com from Trenton, New Jersey.